A long history of failures. And that is the squad. So let's start that segment. And this is as told by Jimmy Dore. And let's go to the first one. This is Bernie and Squad abandon Medicare for all March. In this video, you're going to see pictures of yourselves. Like Athene, I know I see in this. I know Rome, I see a picture of him at a march. JB, I saw a picture of him at one of the march locations. So this is us, our community. We're talking about how the squad has been disappointing and how it's just a long list of just failures by the squad.
I just find it funny that people who claim to be pushing, building a movement never do anything. They never have a movement. They never do a direct action. They never ask people to they never demand anything of politicians. That I'm talking about the Young Turks. I'm talking about Jake Euchre and Anna Kasparian, who bullshit and say that we're building a movement. You build a movement based on union busting, imperialism, McCarthy smearing, and shitting on healthcare activists? Is that your fucking movement? So here's what happened this weekend. Medicare for All advocates take to the streets of over 50 U.S. cities.
Wow. Right there. There goes JB right there. And I don't, is that Meg? I'm not sure if that's because I know Meg is in. But JB, that's JB right there at one of the Medicare for All marches. So like I said, if you see yourself, shout yourself out in the comments. If you see yourself in any of these pictures. So, not that RBN has to prove ourselves to anybody, but we don't even bring up the Medicare for All march when we're talking about being activists. It's something I forgot. I think all the members at that time attended a march. I know Nick spoke where he was. I know Rome spoke where he was. I know JB. I know Sabby. Yeah. I didn't speak, but I attended the one. Yeah, was that the Medicare? Yeah, I attended that one where Jimmy Dore appeared, but I didn't stay as long to hear him speak. I was there earlier at the Boots and stuff, and did I streamed from there. Was Kyle Kalinske there or Sam Cedar? Jimmy Dore's there. The people that they call the online left were somehow obtained physical bodies and physically went to a Medicare for All march. Where were they? So let's continue a long history of failures by the squad, and Medicare for All march being one of them. And I'll pause the video when I recognize people that I know. If you see yourself, just toss your comment in there.
Now that's called grassroots organizing. But of course, the neoliberal shitlibs said it was not the right kind. Remember when AOC said we had to go out and organize? You guys got to go out and organize. That's what they're doing. That's what this is.
Remember when she said the Democratic Party doesn't do anything unless it's forced?
Remember that?
Yes.
Those are her words.
How can we have life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness when we live in constant fear of illness, bankruptcy, and homelessness because of the outrageous for-profit healthcare system? This is an article in Common Dreams by Jessica Corbett. Just days before the 56th anniversary of Medicare being signed into law, at Medicare for old people, for senior citizens, put it that way, advocates for a universal public health insurance program in the United States to replace the private for-profit system held marches in more than 50 cities across the country on Saturday. The day of action was organized by a coalition of over 100 groups, from Mainers for Accountable Leadership, the Chicago Teachers Union, Sunrise Movement Seattle to various arms of Democratic Socialists of America.
Now, look at the different organizations there. Like, it wasn't just crackpots, basically, like us. You know, it wasn't just like a bunch of RBNs, a bunch of randoms. Not that that would be a problem, but these are actual organizations, over 100 groups. Where were they?
Physicians for a National Health Program, the PNHP, and Our Revolution. So fractions of all those groups came together. Our movement was founded from a place of compassion and love, the coalition's website explains. We came together out of frustration with the lack of action from the powers that be. Many of us have our own personal stories as to why we are in this fight. It is a basic freedom. How can we have life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness when we live in constant fear of illness, bankruptcy, or homelessness because of the outrageous for-profit healthcare system? In cities nationwide, including Atlanta, Austin, Chicago, Detroit, Honolulu, Kansas City, Las Vegas, Los Angeles, Louisville, Nashville, New York, or
Look how many different cities it's in. You mean to tell me they didn't hear about it? You mean to tell me not one of them could have showed up? You mean to tell me you couldn't organize people with your large platform? So how much evidence is needed for those, and I'm speaking to those that keep going back to the well of the Justice Democrat strategy, progressive Democrat strategy, and Teslin said it best. They're worse, actually, than corporate Democrats. And the reason they're worse is they're taking and funding their campaigns off of the backs of working class people who are expecting results, which they know they're not going to deliver. The corporate Democrats are at least taking money from businesses and not delivering nothing. You're taking the hard-earned money of working class people and lying. So that makes you worse.
Orlando, Philadelphia, Phoenix, Salt Lake City, San Francisco, Seattle, Tampa, and Washington, D.C. Medicare for All supporters carried signs and chanted slogans directed at federal lawmakers. The coalition has three key demands for the United States government. One, pass, improved, and expanded Medicare for All immediately. Two, recognize healthcare as a human right for all people. And three, prioritize healthcare first in the federal budget, instead of defense spending. And here they are in New York City. Here they are in Los Angeles. That's the one.
Yeah, I know where this exactly is. Yeah, Highland. Yep. So this is where the one that I attended, the LA one, was.
Ron and I were at. Ron and I spoke. Yep. Here they are in Phoenix, Arizona. Here they are in Seattle.
There goes Feeney right there. Feeney used to be an RBN member, if you didn't know. Still love her. Still left good terms. Busy in activism. But that's a Feeney. RBN members attended. This is activism here, right?
Seattle, Washington. There's a guy in a tie on. Here they are in Tallahassee, Florida. Here they are in San Francisco. Here they are in Milwaukee. I don't know where this is. We didn't put it up. Is this LA again? So here's the speech. Here, I'll play. So the interesting thing was, Ron, the lack of elected leaders who run on Medicare for All, who co-sponsor Medicare for All, who submit Medicare for All bills to Congress, didn't even acknowledge that this was happening. And here's my speech. No. Hey, where is CNN? Where the fuck is CNN? I don't know.
I'm gonna pause it because the sound isn't that great, and I don't want to blast your ears with the speech. And I'll fast forward it past the speech, and then he says a little bit here at the end. Then we'll move to the next video here.
So there you go. I was trying to call out the people who actually have the leverage to make something happen, and they refuse to do it, and they don't represent you. And it's time of people of conscience to stop voting for the Democrats or the Republican Party. Those are two parties that are ruled by oligarchs. They serve the oligarchy, and they're here inflicting pain on the.
Doesn't that sound very similar to the press release? What Jimmy just said there about both parties and who they're working for, and they're not working for us. Doesn't that sound eerily similar?
On the American people. They're not there to help you or to serve you. They're there to inflict pain on you, and they're doing it. And who's propping them up and supporting them? The squad. Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders is the biggest cuck I've ever seen in my life. He is the opposite of what we thought he was. He is not going to fight, not even a little bit, for you. So get that through your fucking head. And that's why we got to get rid of this idea. Say, having people like Bernie Sanders and the squad in the Democratic Party, because that's what Bernie is. He's a Democrat. Having them in the Democratic Party actually hurts the movement, because it makes you think that they're going to fight for you inside that party. They're going to do something. That there is a party that I can believe in a party. I can go vote for a Democrat, and it's going to make a difference. We got to get that idea out of their fucking heads, because it's not going to make a difference. And as soon as they realize that, the better. And people like the squad being elected as a Democrat actually delays that process from happening, because until people realize both parties, no matter who is elected inside them, are there to crush you, no change will happen. So I invite the squad and Bernie Sanders to leave the Democratic Party and form a third party. I don't care which one it is. If it's the People's Party, the Green Party, your own party, start another fucking party outside that goddamn Democratic Party. But they're not going to do it. Why? Because they're all mediocre, narcissistic, self-dealing fucking hacks. Why else wouldn't they do what they're supposed to? Because they want their speaking fees. Because they want their book deals. Because if they're in Congress for 5 years, they get a pension for the rest of their fucking life. And plus, they're cowards.
I think that sums up quite beautifully the point. Or it sharpens the point there. But let's go to the next video. And this one, yeah, here we go. This one talks CNN calling out Cory Bush about why aren't the squad voting as a block? So we have the squad. This is another long. So we should have known it was going to be a long list of failures when we heard Cory Bush say, Bush, we don't vote as a block. She was a newly elected, and she got to town. She was like, okay, I'm here to do a change. They said, hey, slow down, girl. We don't vote as a block here. Are you silly, silly girl? That's what happened. So let's go to this next one. I like to give the title. It says, even CNN as squad to use their leverage.
So Cory Bush, so the big problem is that Force the Vote revealed that when we all organized, we all donated, we all raised consciousness, and we got a bunch of progressives elected to Congress called the Justice Democrats. They're supposed to work as a bloc, just like the Freedom Caucus did, the Tea Party Freedom Caucus did. And I know they were supposed to do that because Kyle Kalinske, who founded the Justice Democrats, said so. And I showed you that last week on the show, that he said the whole point of the Justice Democrats, and I know because I founded it, was that they vote as a bloc and use and then they're not doing that. And it's gotten so bad, Ron, that even CNN has noticed. So I noticed with Force the Vote, and now it seems like everyone, even CNN, watch this, Cory Bush.
Senate.
Cory Bush goes on CNN, and watch what CNN does.
Senator Joe Manchin from West Virginia has essentially, used what seems to be a veto power against a lot of progressive priorities, including some of the ones that you've mentioned. But in the House, Democrats have this 2-seat majority. There are 6 members of the squad, of which you are a part. What's stopping you from flexing that same power for your agenda? You just said you would vote against a compromise on qualified immunity. Are you prepared, and the rest of the squad prepared, to use that kind of veto power that you have if you vote as a bloc?
So before they even get to her face, you can see in Cori Bush's face what went down. It's like she has that look of, that sounds like a great idea to vote as a bloc. But when I got here, they told me, hey, listen, newbie, nobody around here votes as a bloc, so shut the fuck up. That's what I was told. That's the look, and that's the tone and way she answers it. So you listen, you tell me if that's the way you interpret it.
You know, I'm prepared to do whatever is needed to make sure that that our agenda moves forward. But I can't speak for the rest of the squad members. At the end of the day,
does that sound like a pleasant conversation? That was so uneasy for her to say, which clearly must have taken her back emotionally, mentally to a conversation that wasn't pleasant. Nobody has that about anything good. That's not your reaction. So clearly, she thought, yeah, let's vote as a bloc. And somebody said, little girl, sweet summer child. What does that Nick say? Sit down and shut up. We don't do that here. You trying to get shit done for the working class? What are you? A civil servant? But let's listen.
Power that you have if you vote as a bloc.
You know, I'm prepared to do whatever is needed
that
to make
right
sure.
There, come on, man. It's like she is not trying to say what she was really told behind the scenes. Like she's not trying to characterize it or anything. So that is the jumbling of her words there. She's not trying to give off that she was told, shut the fuck up about that shit.
You vote as a bloc.
You know, I'm prepared to do whatever is needed to make sure that that our agenda moves forward. But I can't speak for the rest of the squad members. At the end of the day, my sister Ayanna Presley says it all the time. You vote alone, and you're voting for your.
You vote. She says it all the time. You vote alone, and I will get you a book deal in a couple of months.
Your districts. So you're voting for the people who voted you in. You're voting
as if this is that line. I'm voting for as if your district don't want food, don't want housing, don't want police killing people. They say that as if people all over the world don't want some of the same basic shit: healthcare, money, food, a place to live. You know what I'm saying? Like, that means nothing to say that I'm voting for my constituency. Yeah, no. I'll throw that up there. With her $500 hairdo. It's a shame. All right, let's continue.
You're voting their needs and their values.
So you're outnumbered, but you have leverage if you vote together as a bloc, and you won't even band together to use your leverage and vote as a bloc. Well, that's reassuring. That is reassuring. She won't even. And so here is Marianne Williamson calls bullshit. She says, I don't get the you vote alone comment. They're not willing to vote as a bloc and exert that power that comes from that. No, Marianne. And this is what's been.
But you, Marianne, want us to keep voting for them. The petty bourgeoisie. The Jenks. Emmas, the Sams, no Minkies, Ben Dixons. They're admitting the squad. What's the use in voting in squad members, 100 of them progressives, if they don't vote as a block? And they are telling us we're not voting in the block as a block, no matter how many people you send here.
It's been going on since Forced to Vote. We highlighted this starting last November, that they're not going to do this. And I knew they weren't going to do it, because if they were going to do it, they would have brought it up instead of letting a pothead podcaster come up with it. It wasn't like I'm some kind. They knew that they had the votes. They all have staffs of 20. You don't think there's someone like, hey, why don't we use our politics one?